Welcome back in Live Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Let's take a live look at Tel Aviv on what is now, I believe, Wednesday morning. If we're talking Israel Standard Time, we do have Alon Burstein. He's standing by for the latest on the tension in the Middle East. Alon, as always, it's good to see you. Let's get straight into this. It's busy as always. I want to talk to you about something that happened over the weekend, because this is the first time I've talked to you since a drone struck Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's private residence in northern Israel on Saturday. So what do we know about who targeted Bibi here? There's been some finger pointing since then, hasn't there?
There has been, and it's good to see you as always. Yes, this is one of the major events that have occurred in this war. What is being treated in Israel as an assassination attempt of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. What those side disputes is the fact that Hezbollah fired these drones. Hezbollah fired 3 drones on Saturday. 2 of them were intercepted by the Israeli Air Force. 1 managed to not only evade the interceptors and evade Israeli radars, but also evade all the local air defenses that surround the Prime Minister's home and crash into the Prime Minister's home, literally hitting the bedroom window of the Prime Minister's house. According to reports, the Prime Minister was not staying at that home, at that residence, specifically over the weekend. Now, no one disputes the fact that Hezbollah launched those drones. Israel is saying that Hezbollah launched the drones. Hezbollah is saying they launched the drones, and Iran is saying they launched the drones. But the big dispute that is going on is, what was Iran's involvement? Israel is being adamant that the order to launch those drones and try to assassinate Prime Minister Netanyahu came from Iran. The Saudi Al-Hadith even reported, I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, that investigations in Israel are showing that Iranian agents may have been involved in the actual launching. I will say that the report did not cite any proof of that. It just said that this is being said by the investigation team. In turn, Iran is screaming that it had nothing to do with this. The Iranian ambassador to the United States has gone on record and gone to different news channels, all saying they had nothing to do with it. And Hezbollah also, Hezbollah's head of communications, Mohammad Afif, publicly said again and again, Hezbollah fired this and Iran had nothing to do with it. Obviously, the context within that surrounds this is the upcoming Israeli retaliation against Iran for the missile attack. Israel is possibly looking to justify a larger attack, or even possibly a retaliation that would target heads of state or political officials in Iran. Obviously, Iran and Hezbollah are looking to deny this, saying Iran had nothing to do with it. That's the blame game right now.
Here's the question that comes to my mind, though, is we hear so much about the Iron Dome and its military might. We've seen it take down countless amounts of missiles. How, and is this conversation going on? How is it that a missile can strike a private residence of the top leader in Israel?
Drones have been a bit of a game changer in the current war. Even the October 7th attack, that by now is over a year ago, started with Hamas launching several drones, each of them some suicide drones, some drones that bore missiles, each of them taking out the different guard towers that had security cameras and technological surveillance along the border between Israel and Gaza. Iron Dome and a slew of other air defense capabilities that Israel has is something called Kela David. There's another thing, the Hetz missile. All of these are all meant for missiles and rockets. The different systems for different types of projectiles. Drones are a bit of a game changer. Drones can change their speed while they're flying, somewhat different than other projectiles. Drones have GPS capability. Some missiles have this, but drones can also be targeted to one target and then change course. You can also change the trajectory of a drone in flight. All these things have proven throughout the war to be a bit of a game changer. Hezbollah has managed again and again to sneak drones past Israel's air defenses. We saw the Houthis send a drone from Yemen, traveling up the Red Sea, coming in to Israel from the Mediterranean, a suicide drone crashing in the heart of Tel Aviv. Drones are a bit of a game changer in the war thus far, and this is one of the major proofs that no matter how many air defenses are mounted, drones are not something that there is actually a very effective defense against them. One of the things that we saw during the attack, because the IDF was obviously aware that 3 drones were launched, however, one had disappeared, we saw Israeli Air Force helicopters surrounding the prime minister's house because either through intelligence or whatever they expected that might be the target, in the air, literally just searching for these drones and did not find it, did not manage to intercept it, and it managed to hit its target.
I got to ask you about the IDF eliminating a man who was set to become the head of Hezbollah. It seems like we're hearing headlines like this on the regular. The IDF confirmed such on Tuesday that they killed the would-be successor to Hassan Nasrallah. Who did they kill alone, and where does Hezbollah leadership look to next?
So it's important to note that the IDF has confirmed the success of this assassination. It actually occurred already 2 to 3 weeks ago. And there were a lot of reports that the assassination was successful. However, the IDF was waiting for confirmation. Once again, it was Saudi news sites that reported that the body of Hashem Safieddine was excavated from the rubbles in Dahya. And after that, the IDF also confirmed the assassination was successful. Hashem Safieddine is a very, very interesting figure. He's one of the most prominent figures within Hezbollah. He was the quote-unquote number 2 or 3 within Hezbollah's operational council. So we had Hassan Nasrallah as the leader. We have Naim Qassem as his deputy, who is still alive and is right now the de facto leader of Hezbollah. Then you had Hashem Safieddine. Safieddine, as it says here, was the head of Hezbollah's executive council. What that is somewhat of a shadow government that Hezbollah established within Lebanon. The executive council was essentially the way that Hezbollah would run its operations in terms of everything except for the military side of it. Everything from governance in areas that are controlled in southern Lebanon, welfare systems, welfare networks, interior ministers, exterior ministers, finance ministers. All this was happening within the executive council. That put Safieddine as one of the most important figures within Hezbollah, because alongside the military aspects that were handed more by Hassan Nasrallah, he was the one who basically made Hezbollah what it was today. According to reports, he was already signaled as a possible heir to Hassan Nasrallah already back in the early 90s. In 1994, he was called back from Iran and put into this position. He also was a relative of Hassan Nasrallah. So his assassination, again, even though it occurred several weeks ago, the fact that now it's confirmed is another major step towards eliminating the top leadership of Hezbollah. It is important to say, alongside all this, because I keep on getting asked, so what does Hezbollah have left? Hezbollah has a lot left. The estimates right now within Israel are that between 1,500 and 2,000 Hezbollah operatives have been killed in the entire war. Lebanon's health ministry is saying that over 2,500 people in Lebanon have been killed. According to estimates before the war, Hezbollah had between 30 to 40 to 50,000 different operatives. There are estimates that Hezbollah only has 20 to 30% of its medium-range rockets that are still functional. All well and good. According to estimates before the war, Hezbollah had between 130,000 and 150,000 rockets. So they fired by now some 14,000. Maybe they lost another 70%. We are still talking about 35,000 or 40,000 rockets if they only have 20 to 30% left. So Hezbollah is being pounded daily. They are being hunted down by the IDF. They've suffered great losses. The movement is far from destroyed. It is far from eliminated. It still has massive capabilities. And that is one of the considerations that right now are going on within Israel, as is talks going on with Secretary of State Blinken and all kinds of other actors about what's the future in Lebanon, what happens with Hezbollah, because the movement is far from gone.
Speaking of Blinken, we're looking at a live picture of Tel Aviv right now. But I do want to mention that, of course, Blinken and Netanyahu had an extensive meeting today. We do know they discussed ending the conflicts in Lebanon and Gaza. Maybe I should say discussing how or a potential path to ending these conflicts. Have we heard of anything significant coming from their discussions today alone?
There's been very little reported about the content of their discussions. As usual, we had somewhat, not exactly contradictory, but conflicting reports from the different offices. Prime Minister's office saying that they discussed things and agreed on A, B, and C. Then Blinken's office saying, well, they discussed things, but there was more pressure and disagreement on 1, 2, and 3. What we do know is that the focus of their conversation was 3 or 4 main things. One was Israel's impeding retaliation against Iran. The United States is very, very nervous that despite the fact that Israel has given the United States assurances that it is not going to target nuclear facilities and not going to target oil rigs, it's going to focus on military targets, the United States is still worried. According to a lot of leaks that are coming out, is still concerned. Also with the assassination of Prime Minister Netanyahu, that this is an upscale of Iran and maybe that'll change. So that was one side of the talks. Then there was the possible resolutions in Lebanon and trying to advance a hostage exchange and a truce in the Gaza Strip. In Lebanon, we already talked a little bit about what are some of Israel's considerations. It was also reported a few days ago that Israel has been proposing different avenues towards possible diplomatic resolution in Lebanon, but demanding a lot of things like that the Israeli Air Force will have open access to southern Lebanon, things that'll be hard to negotiate. Then there's the question of what's going on in Gaza. After Yahya Sinwar has been killed, and there's all kinds of reports coming out about who is going to be Hamas's new leader, but the negotiations have been completely stalled for the last several months, and everyone is trying to pressure the sides to say, okay, you have a game-changing moment. You have a critical juncture. The head of Hamas has been killed. Now is the time to try to advance a deal. But there's lots of other things that are getting in the way of that. One, again, the leadership of Hamas is still somewhat vague, although we're getting some reports over who the new leadership is going to be. In addition to that, the framework that the sides had not managed to agree on is nowhere closer to any resolution. So there's some reports coming out that the head of the Israeli Shabak, Renan Bar, met with the new head of intelligence in Egypt, Abbas Kamel, and is trying to come up with a smaller deal, a 2-week truce in exchange for the release of 5 hostages. According to reports, this was discussed between Blinken and Prime Minister Netanyahu, almost as a way of saying, let's see if there's even who to talk to on the other side. Let's propose a very, very small deal and see if the other side even comes back to us saying, no, let's talk about something bigger. All that's being rumored. The last thing that I'll say that was also part of their discussion, there is a lot of concern within the United States over northern Gaza, both in what's happening in terms of the humanitarian situation, and also there's a lot of rumors that Israel's planning to implement what's become known as the general's plan, or the island plan, which is something we could talk about. I don't know how much time we have, but it's his own plan that everyone's very fearful of. Blinken asked Netanyahu, he said, please make public that you do not intend on implementing this plan. Netanyahu said that's not our policy right now. So that was the focus of their talk, I'll say.
Last thing before we go here, you mentioned the reports. Who is being discussed as the successor to Yahya Sinwar? You and I have had several discussions about the possibility of his brother taking that title. What are we hearing?
So his brother actually was not mentioned as part of the ongoing reports. On October 21st, the Wall Street Journal reported that Yahya Sinwar, after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, began to plan for his death. He thought, okay, I might be next, and began to leave instructions. Among others, he said, after his death, Israel's going to make a lot of overtures to try to end the war quickly. He wants his successor to not take them. And he also, according to the report, advised that after his death, a council be established in order to be the leadership. Don't just appoint one person. I remind you that Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated at the end of July. Then Yahya Sinwar, he was like, it's not good to constantly have a leader. He's killed, a leader is killed. Form a council. Possibly related to that, on October 22nd, or today, AFP quoted 2 Hamas sources saying that the new leadership is going to be a council of people, all residing in Qatar. It's Khalil al-Haya, who is supposed to represent the Gaza Strip, Zahir Jabarin representing the West Bank, Khalid Mashal, who's going to represent exiled Palestinians, and Mohammed Darwish, who is the head of the Shura Council. One important factor, the 5th person remained anonymous. And possibly that would be Yahya Sinwar's brother. Don't know. The report made it seem like everyone is going to be in Qatar, so maybe not. But it's very important because in that list, it's all external leadership. There's no one who's actually in the Gaza Strip. So how that leadership is going to like impose what's decided in the Gaza Strip or not, maybe that's the role of the 5th anonymous person. Again, that's just a report from AFP. It's not confirmed. It came out a few hours ago, but it matches largely what we've heard that Sinwar was possibly Sinwar's legacy. So that's just speculation at this point, but it seems like it may be what Hamas is trying to develop.
We'll leave it there for now, Alon. As always, we look forward to your regular YouTube uploads. You do your own war recaps and updates on your own channel. I'll also say that you and I taped a roughly 50-minute long explainer piece going through Sinwar's life, basically, his growing up to how he became what he became, and then exploring what is next to come with Hamas. If anybody wants to watch that, that's on Alone's YouTube channel. It's also on the Live Now from Fox YouTube channel. As always, Alone, we appreciate you. Have a good night.